The following session was recorded live in San Antonio, Texas for the 2003 CALLERLAB Conference. This is tape number 6, Modules.
Okay, this is going to be the panel on modules. I'm Tony Oxendine. I'll be your moderator. And you guys are in luck because we've got some specialists in this field, if you can't tell from the setup up here. Our panelists this morning to be talking about modules. Our first speaker will be Jerry Junck from, so you moved to Wayne, didn't you? From Wayne, Nebraska. He's been calling 52 years. He's a past chairman of the board, a current Board of Governors member. He lives in Wayne, Nebraska, which celebrates 2 seasons of the year. That'd be 4th of July and road construction. And then he spends the other half of the year in Mesa, Arizona, where the average age is deceased. Where he makes $500,000 in 4 months. No, seriously. Oftentimes, I've done several schools. I've been doing caller schools with Jerry now for several years, and I've been doing caller schools for quite a while now. And I'm always amazed because people go to caller schools and they want to learn how to sight call. And I'm very, very happy to see that the trend now is changing somewhat because there's a growing number of us coaches that are starting to stress modular calling. And I think that a caller now, if you're going to be effective in today's square dance world, if you don't know how to use modules, you're going to be in a world of hurt. If you come in, I was talking to some folks last night, and we were talking about this same subject, and I had a friend last week. I did a dance, without telling you where, is in Memphis, and I had a friend that I've known for 30 years came up, and he gave me what I thought was a very nice compliment. He said, Tony, he said, I finally figured out what kind of dance you're calling. I said, what do you mean? He said, you're doing a 1960s dance with 2003 choreography. And I said, well, yeah, I guess. He said, well, what do you equate to that? I said, I'm not doing a lot of sight calling tonight because I had the floor had just a wide variety of levels. There were some people fresh out of lessons, and had some people been dancing for a long time, and it was very hard to find any kind of floor level stuff. And to be honest, I just didn't feel comfortable trusting some of these people with my dance. So I did very little sight calling, and all he knew was that he enjoyed the dance. He didn't know that I wasn't doing a lot of sight calling, and so I've discovered this tool, this modular tool, just in the last half dozen years, and it has completely turned my calling around. It's turned my thoughts on calling around, and most callers, if you ask them how they call, they'll say sight, and 9 out of 10 callers have been calling a while, and if you ask most callers, well, tell me about modules. They don't know a thing about it. But what they don't realize is you actually do, and you're just not aware of it. All of us use modules. We just don't realize it. These guys will talk more in depth, but essentially a module is nothing more than knowing where you start and doing a call or a series of calls and know where you wind up. And there's all kind of modules. For any of you guys that have said head square through 4, it's a great module because it converts you from a static square to a 0 box. And so we do use modules, whether we know so or not. So with that in mind, to further explain more in depth, I'd like to introduce my first panelist, who has the most perfect hair in the business, Mr. Jerry Junck.
Thank you, Tony Oxendine. I think you got up in a rare mood this morning. Yeah. Good morning, everybody, and we're glad to have you here. I cannot echo Tony's thoughts more. When I started calling, and it's not been 52 years ago, I am old, but it was 37 years ago, I started out as a memory and a module caller, converted to sight, and over the years I have converted back to my primary form of calling is modular calling, and I use sight to resolve. But basically, I'm a modular caller, and I'm very proud of it. I think it works well. We have a number of choreographic management tools available to us. Many callers believe that the only important tool is sight resolution. it is my absolute firm conviction that the most important tool for choreographic control is the effective use of modules. Over the years, I've become absolutely convinced of this. It is also my opinion that a total reliance on sight resolution is maybe a major contributor to the fact we hear dancers and callers criticizing choreography that tends to be redundant and, for maybe a lack of a better term, boring. It's also my belief that those not using modules are missing a wonderful opportunity to enhance their popularity and grow as a caller. Using modules can and will add variety and spice to every caller's presentation. Through the use of modules, callers can make ordinary choreography creative and exciting, and you can call a dance with the confidence that what you are calling not only works, but that it flows. And I just talked to a young lady down here in front. She's learning to call. If I could have any wish for you and for the new caller, it would be that you would start to learn to call through the use of modules, because it will take the worry away from you to have to worry about whether or not you can resolve. You will know with confidence that what you call not only works, but that it flows, and you don't have to depend on those dancers, or as Tony said, he felt he couldn't trust the dancers that night to freewheel it and use sight. In addition, and I think this might be a bigger issue, the use of modules makes an excellent tool to aid in the control of difficulty, the degree of difficulty of the calls. Having some working knowledge of modules and how to set calls up and how to use calls can really save you a lot of grief. If you're freewheeling sight, you may wish to use a call, but all of a sudden discovered that the way you set it up was not the best. If you use modules, you'll always have that good setup. You'll always have something you know. What is a module? It's defined as a call or combination of calls that take dancers from one known phaser, which is formation, arrangement, sequence, and relationship, to the same or another known phaser. These combinations or sequences should be short and therefore easily memorized, and there are several types of modules, and I'm not going to get into giving a thorough explanation of all of them, but just let it be known that the most important module that we use is Chicken Plucker. If you haven't seen it, we'll use it here in a little bit. All of today's choreography, could I ask somebody to shut that door? I don't know what they're doing out there, but it's next door. Okay. Thanks, Andy. Thank you. Chicken Plucker module, it's so important, and if you haven't seen it or haven't heard of it, it's nothing more than you use a module, as Tony said, to get into it, head square through forward, puts you in a zero box. Chicken Plucker is this. It's right and left through, pass through, trade by, which takes the dancers across to the other side of the square, and then you have to bring them back. Right and left through, pass through, trade by. And you're right back to that original zero box that we were talking about. The beauty of Chicken Plucker is that you can expand that so much by putting a zero module in or using equivalent modules for to replace calls to make it seem different. You can use conversion modules, which take you from boxes to lines, from lines to boxes and back. You can invert and rotate. That's a module, and it moves people around the square and changes the actives. And then I think two sets of modules that are very important, and I think maybe add frosting to your dance, are get-in modules and get-out modules. You have people who call these surprising get-outs. They are nothing more than modules. Don't ever think that these guys are freewheeling. They're not. They call to a spot, and then they have a memorized get-out module so that they, in fact, can give you that surprise get-out. And these are really important. As I said, the basic pattern for nearly all symmetrical choreography today is Chicken Plucker. Thoroughly understanding this module greatly enhances any caller's ability to move dancers effectively and efficiently. Being able to invert and rotate in conjunction with the Chicken Plucker gives the caller the ability to move dancers from one quadrant to another without ever questioning at any time where these dancers are. Furthermore, and I think this is really important, every singing call figure that we use, basically, is a form of chicken plucker. People who want to change the singing call figures, if you understand chicken plucker, that's basically what singing call figures are. Every singing call figure is a module of some form or another, and all a form of chicken plucker. And I don't think Tony would disagree with that. Completely. Oh, yeah, you would completely agree. That's right. After a bit, I'll use chicken plucker and show you how singing call figures with just a standard singing call module that we use, how you can dress it up just with modules. Being able to use only a few of the zero equivalent and conversion modules within the framework of chicken plucker will give even a new caller the tools necessary to be able to call interesting and danceable choreography with complete confidence, and also the knowledge that it works. It's important that you have a couple of conversion modules. You need to convert from lines to boxes, but you need to know where the dancers go when you do that. And we're not talking memorizing 10,000 modules. We're talking just a few short modules that can really aid in what you want to do. The get in, the get out modules, the effective use of these sets the successful caller apart, I think, from the average caller. It adds frosting to the cake. Again, you only need to know a few, and they provide the spice to your dance. And again, you don't need a lot of these. Now, if I may, I would like to have a square, if I could, please. Just real quick. Okay, basically, I'm going to talk about the chicken plucker module and how we can plug in these zero equivalent conversion modules. And later on, I want Tony to show you a little thing that he uses. Chicken plucker says this, head square through 4. Do that. And that's a get-in module. That's all it amounts to. Okay? Chicken plucker is this, and if you would watch the gentleman there in the black shirt, just watch him. I'm going to turn him around, take him across, turn him around, bring him back. Right now, would we all agree you could call an Alaman left? Say yes. Okay. Right and left through. Pass through. Trade by. We've taken them across the street. Right and left through. Pass through. Trade by. And you're right back looking at your corner. If you learn nothing else from here and you haven't used chicken plucker before, I cannot tell you enough how much you need to know this call, or this sequence of calls. Again, do a right and left through. Pass through. Trade by. Right and left through. Pass through. Trade by. Okay. Now, we've been working just that pattern, just going east and west down the in our square. But we want to change that so that we work north and south. Let's use an invert and rotate. Star through. Pass through. Bend the line. Star through. We're right back into our chicken plucker module. Are you looking at your corner? Right and left through. Pass through. Trade by. Right and left through. Pass through. Trade by. Now, I realize that's all the same number of calls, but we've worked a different direction. People are in a different quadrant. It feels different to the dancers. For the caller, we haven't even expanded chicken plucker at all. We just inverted and rotated through this little sequence right here. Star through. Pass through. Bend the line. Star through. You're right back where you started. You still have your zero box. Now say we want to dress this up. We're going to do a zero. And a zero module says this. We're going to use a series of calls to bring us back to the same relative formation. Say I want to get back to these footprints. A zero would be this. And we know we're looking at our corner. Let's swing through. Boys run. Ferris wheel. We've all done this. Centers, pass through. We're back to the corner. Right and left through. Let's use our chicken plucker. Pass through. Trade by. Would you agree now we've taken this gentleman across the street? Okay, we can use that same zero module and make this choreography seem a little bit different. Swing through. Boys run. Ferris wheel. Centers pass through. We all know that sequence of calls, and yet now we're not looking at our corner, but we know we have half a chicken plucker left to bring him across. Right and left through, pass through, trade by, Alaman left. And I know absolutely categorically that works every time. There is no doubt in my mind that that's going to work. Now, we want to dress this up even a little bit more. Head square through 4. Okay. Say we want to convert, we're tired of working our boxes. We want to convert from a line. There are 2 conversion modules that everybody should know. We want to make a line of 4, and we're going to go from a 0 box to a 0 line in which everybody has their partner and is in sequence. Swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line. Instantly you're in 0 lines, and by that you could call an Alaman left. That quickly, you could call an Alaman left. That's a conversion module. Everybody should know that one. You've heard every caller in the country traveling through use that module. Okay, we want to convert back to a box. Touch 1/4. Single file circulate. Boy run around a girl. You could call an Alaman left. That quickly, through those 2 little sequences, those 2 conversion modules, you can add to your choreography. Now, we're tired of working them this way, and we work the modules, but people are tired of looking at these people. Do a right and left through. Pass through, trade by. You take them across the street. We know now we have half a chicken plucker left, and basically we wanted to get them with better people, so we took them over there. Swing through. Girls circulate. Boy trade, boy run, bend the line. Admittedly, this is no longer a 0 line because we're out of sequence, but the point is I know that in my calling because I'm across the street on my chicken plucker. I can convert right back out, touch 1/4, single file circulate, boy run around a girl, I'm half a chicken plucker away from home, right and left through, pass through, trade by, Alaman left. And I've not only used my chicken plucker module, but I've used a 0. I've converted on this side from a line, converted back to a box, taken them across the street, converted from that 0 box to a 0 line, used the other module to convert back. As a new caller, there is nothing more effective than this. You can call confidently with the fact that you can move dancers effectively and efficiently with a minimal amount of memory work. And everybody who is a sight caller and says, I call only sight, is not giving you the facts. They may not be able to tell you exactly where that series of calls takes them, but they have what I call flow modules. They know these calls work together. And everybody that is a successful sight caller is a great module caller. And I don't think there are any exceptions. Now, one of the things that I like to use with modules, I like to use the get-ins and the get-outs to make things different. For instance, say you don't want to call head square through all night long. So let's have head square through 2. 1, 2. As a modular caller, I know instantly all I've done is I'm across the street. Watch again the guy with the black shirt. Right and left through, pass through, trade by, and I'm very safe in knowing that I have my corner again. Now back out to home. Kid, would you do that, please? Let's say we want to expand and we don't want to use a square through 2. Let's pass through. Partner trade. Reverse your flutter. Sweep a quarter more. Pass through. And I have taken the heads across the street with I haven't done a head square through 2 at all. I've done a pass through, partner trade, reverse your flutter, sweep a quarter, pass through, but I know exactly where they are without ever thinking about it. Again, half a chicken plucker, right and left through, pass through, trade by, Alaman left. Do you see how that can work? I know most of you have probably seen all this and may know all this. As a get-out module, I love get-outs. And a couple of years ago in our school, that Tony and I do, we were talking about get-out modules, and Tony and I were visiting back and forth, and we discovered, or I at least discovered, that I didn't have a lot of get-out modules from lines. And Tony said, well, I don't either. And so I went home with the idea that, well, I got to fix that, because you should have get-outs from different things. So I made a resolution that I was going to figure out some modules that I could use to get out from lines of 4. And I know I'm picking on the head square through 4, but because of our setup here, let's just do that. Heads, if you would, pair off, please, and face the outside too. Now, I want to get them into standard lines. Swing through. Here's this conversion module. Girl circulate, boy trade, boy run, bend the line. Now, is there anybody who doesn't see that that's a 0 line that we, in fact, you could do an Alaman left? Okay, I resolved to do some get-out modules from here. And here's one of them. Do a right and left through. Pass through. Wheel and deal. Center 4, do-sa-do. Make a wave. You 2 ladies trade. You 2 boys run around 1 girl. You 2 boys trade. All 4 boys shake hands. There's your corner. Alaman left. That's a module. Has nothing to do with me being able to call that on the fly, because I couldn't. It's having the plan to do that. Heads again, pair off if you would please. Step 2 away, swing through the conversion module to get to lines. Girls circulate, boy trade, boy run, bend the line. All of you have seen this. Again, we're back in that 0 line, right and left through. Ladies lead Dixie style to an ocean wave. Girls circulate, boy trade, Alaman left. Again, nothing more than a memorized get out. Heads again, pair off one last time. Swing through. Girls circulate, boy trade, boy run, bend the line. I decided that I was tired of right and left through, ladies lead Dixie style, girls circulate, boy trade. Now, how could I change that? And I still wanted to use that same Dixie style setup. Do a right and left through. Ladies lead Dixie style to an ocean wave. Boys, you've got a right hand. Boys, cast right 3/4. Make a wave of 4 boys. Center boy trade. Okay. Boys, cast, I didn't do it. Center boys trade. Yeah, center boy run around the end boy. There you go. I screwed it up. I know it. I can't. I can't. All right, girls face in. Boys, center boys run around the end boy. I can't do it. Go back home. This isn't what I wanted. No, I wanted heads again. Heads pair off. Face the outside too. Now I'm embarrassed. Step 2 away. Swing through. Girls circulate. Boy trade. Boy run. Bend the line. Right and left through. Ladies lead Dixie style. I was set on doing this one. At advanced, we've got a thing called a 3/4 through, and this is what I wanted to do. But you can do it at mainstream. Boys cast right 3/4. Center boy trade. Boys hinge. Alaman left. That's embarrassing. I was trying to do the next one. Oh, doesn't matter. But no, I'm not trying to make you laugh. And never be embarrassed also by making a mistake, because we all do. Yeah, you get a little red face, but oh well. We're not perfect. But those are the things that I try to work at. I also spend a lot of my dance working cast 3/4 from ocean waves, and as I work through the evening, I have a little get out that I use with a cast 3/4 from left hand waves. And heads, if you would please, pair off. Star through. Now, this is what I call a corner line. I'm sure there's a designation for it in the caller coach curriculum, but I call it a corner line because you have your corner for a partner, you're in sequence. Pass through, partner trade, do a right and left through, ladies lead, Dixie style to an ocean wave, boy trade. Boys, you've got a girl by the left, cast left 3/4, make a new wave, boy, girl, centers trade. Left, swing through, turn left and right. Alaman left, promenade home. Again, nothing more than a memorized module. And I wouldn't call that first shot out of the gun, but as I work through the evening with cast 3/4, then I work up to this for later on the evening. That's what I'm talking about, modules, and the use of modules in your choreography. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about real briefly, how much time do I have, Tony? 5. I'm going to talk about singing call figures. And the one that we basically use is this. This is the Royal Records standard singing call figure that they try to work out their choreography with for their... Put it on my tab. Yeah. Here's the figure. Heads promenade half. We all use this figure. Head square through 4. Swing through. Boys run. Ferris wheel. Square through 3. Swing your corner. Everybody uses that figure. Now go back home. Everybody uses that figure. So let's show how we can take our knowledge of modules and make that to our effect. Instead of heads promenade half, down the middle, square through 4. Let's change our singing call figure because we're going to use the basic setup. Heads promenade half, square through 4, right and left through, veer left, Ferris wheel, square through 3. Let's do this, what we did earlier. Heads, pass through. Partner trade. Reverse your flutter. Sweep a quarter more. Pass through. And now I'm across the street, just like if I'd done a heads promenade half, square through 4. Swing through. Boy run. Ferris wheel. Square through 3. And you can swing your corner. Now, let's just work a little of this to show you how... I'm not going to sing very much, no. And I know it's quick. It's also the wrong record. Alright, same figure. Head promenade pig, halfway around. Square through the 4, get a rolling around. Go all the way, step to the wave, swing through his head. Boy, run to the right. Ferris wheel into the middle, square through 3. Swing the corner, lady. Promenade a short walk home. Notice, that's the figure now we're going to do. Now, let's spice that up. Same figure, but let's just change it. The heads pass through, partner trade. Reverse your flutter with a left hand, boy, you roll it round. Sweep a quarter more. Pass through, make a wave, swing through and then. Boy, run to the right. Ferris wheel into the middle, you square through the 3. Go rolling down the line. Swing your corner, lady, very promenade. Short walk. Again, just stop right there. Now, let's do something with that square through 3 to make that different. Those heads pass through, partner trade. Reverse your flutter with a left hand, boy, you roll it round the ring. Sweep a quarter more and then pass through. Swing through. Boy, run to the right. Ferris wheel into the middle. Now you're square through 3 from here, but don't do a right and left through. Pass through, swing your corner, lady, promenade. Again, I just shoved a little equivalent in for that square through 3. Let's try this. I want to take them across the street. Heads past the ocean, make your wave. Extend. Now they're across the street. Swing through, you know. Boy, run to the right. Ferris wheel into the middle. Now don't do this, but a square through 3 would get us there, but let's not do that. Do a right and left through. You pass through, touch a quarter, that's your corner. Scoot back, boy, go. swing the corner, lady, promenade, take her home, short walk. Again, just doing some little modules there to make the same figure work. Heads pass through, partner trade, reverse your flutter with the left hand, boy, you roll it round the ring, sweep quarter more, pass through, you're across the street, swing through, boy, run to the right, Ferris wheel into the middle, to the right, out it through, pass through, step to the waves, swing through, that's your corner, boy, trade, swing your corner, promenade, I want to love somebody like you. See how it works? And all I did was the same figure, heads promenade half, square through 4, swing through, boy run, Ferris wheel, square through 3. All I did was put zeros and equivalents in chicken plucker, being aware of what chicken plucker does. And I did all of that different choreography for my singing call, and at no time did I not know where everybody was. And there was that one time, yes. Thank you for pointing that out on the tape, Mr. Oxendine. Yeah, thank you very much. I hope that gives you a little idea. I wanted to do this singing call thing because I've had so many guys ask me and gals ask me, how do I change singing calls? It's not really difficult, but it does require you knowing your modules. It does require knowing that there are some zeros and equivalents that you can plug into the regular standard patterns that we use and make them effective. Let's give these guys a very nice hand. Thank you very much. And thank you for your attention, and I hope this will help you with some winning ways. I think it'll improve it.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Another nice hand for the dancers. In that singing call figure, Jerry did several things that I hope you guys may have noticed, because he employed more than just the figure. There was a zero in there. There was a setup module. There was a nice little get out module. There was some equivalents. That's what makes our calling so powerful, and that's what makes this such an effective tool. Our next presenter has been calling for 112 years. Anyway, Cal Campbell is from Castle Rock, Colorado. He is the author of a very popular book that you can find on his website called Dancing for Busy People. And he just showed me a copy of this booklet he has here, this Square Dance Caller's Notebook, which has a lot of modules in it. It's really kind of a good book. I want to tell you a real funny story about Cal real quick, because Cal is one of the writers for our new magazine, and so I kind of have to call him and talk to him. For those of you guys who don't know, Cal is a veterinarian. And Cal lives in a rural district in Colorado. So one night, I don't know, it was late my time, I guess it was about 10 o'clock in Colorado, I called and changed my voice and said, Dr. Campbell. He said, yeah. I said, man, I've got a problem with my cow. He said, what seems to be the problem? I said, well, she's in labor, and it looks like this calf is turned sideways and it's just not cooperating. And I'm going to need you to come over here and hand deliver this thing. So Cal said, well, yes, sir. So I'll come over. And I told him, I said, but now, doctor, said, now, my cow is allergic. It's funny, she's allergic to rubber, so you're not going to be able to wear no gloves or nothing. That was about the time he called a hold of it was me, and he called me something that I never would have thought Cal Campbell would have called me. Ladies and gentlemen, Cal Campbell.
Yeah, just kind of extend that a little bit. I'm a veterinarian, a large animal vet, and have been for many years. I kind of wanted to have one of my sons become a veterinarian. And so after they got up big and all the chosen their chosen profession, I asked one of them one time, I said, well, why didn't you become a veterinarian? He said, Dad, I'll watch you pull a calf sometime. I'd like to talk a little bit about something called fractional and nested zeros. We all have a limited amount of ability to memorize, and so what we need to do is to be able to maximize the amount of space we've got up here. We can cram things in easily. This is one of the handiest tools that I've run onto out of the modular calling. I hope you understand it. I've written it up quite thoroughly with diagrams in here, so don't worry too much about making notes. Okay. Fractional, yeah, go ahead. But don't read them. Watch up here. Fractional zeros. Now, fractional zeros are modules which must be repeated 2 or more times in order to zero out. This means that you're going to memorize a set of calls. And let's just take a half fractional zero and take a look at it. Right and left through, dive through, zoom, centers pass through. If you repeat this twice, it will flip-flop the set. Watch. We're going to start out here with the normal zero box and carry them across, and on the other side, all you've done is take the whole set and flip it over. So you've got a string of actually 8 calls that you can call, of 4 of which you have to memorize, and you have a zero. You know exactly where they are. The dancers, if you call an element left at this point, are going to go, gee, that's maybe a little bit different. Because a lot of times I find that when Judy and I do go out and dance, that I'm constantly in the same corner dancing with the same people. In other words, if I'm number 1 couple, I'm constantly dancing with my corner over here on the left. All right. 1/3 fractional zeros then have to be going through 3 times before they zero out. This is one that I use extensively. It's one of my favorites. I use it very much when I train people, because in doing so, this sequence carries you through several different arrangements and gives the dancers the opportunity to move through different formations. Let's start out up here and walk through it and pick out your couples if you want to pick out a couple, and watch the action as we go through it. On the first pass through, we're here. Wheel and deal. Double pass through. Centers in. And cast off 3/4. We turn the square. Rotated the whole thing. All right? Starting from the next one going through on thirds. Pass through. Wheel and deal. Double pass through. Centers in. Cast off 3/4. Okay. Look at the end up point. You've got the girls going through the center on the pass through. And on the wheel and deal, you put the girls in the center of it. A lot of square dancers do not get to experience this because we're so busy trying to resolve things if we're doing it strictly by sight. This gives you the pattern of where you can do it and know where everybody's going to be. All right? Third time through. We're going to pass through, wheel and deal, double pass through, centers in, cast them off 3/4. We're back out of it. We've also turned the set 90 degrees. Okay, what have you had to memorize? I bet you, most of you right now, if you thought about it, could repeat the module. What is it? Oh, excuse me. I should have the damn screen blank. Yeah, but you know, the sequence, after a while, it gets to the place where it's a rhythm within you. It's kind of like reciting a poem. All right, a little trick I haven't got in the write-up. If you want to convert it to a different set of things, you only have to change one thing. Instead of doing a double pass-through right here, do a U-turn back. Change one term, and you've got a whole new module. And you'll carry the dancers through a different set of arrangements as far as for who's in front by changing one term. It's another 1/3. I've got, it's another number 1/3. Okay. I really want you to understand some power that's going to come up next. In other words, what we've done, the starting FSR is there, the ending one is there. All right. Vanish to the dancers. Move through a big pattern. If there's anything that you can carry home from me, please carry home the idea that dancers love big patterns. Why do you think they like spin chain and exchange the gears? It's a big pattern. And years ago, I used to go to the Lloyd Shaw Fellowship. And Mrs. Shaw used to tell us, always dance with the view from above. Take a look at what the floor is doing. And she said, any good figure should be able to create a doodle that you can draw on the paper that's pretty. And this particular figure does. Uses several different arrangements, fissures. Uses folding and unfolding actions. Wheel and deals are beautiful for this. Do any of you use wheel and deals much? When I'm out dancing, I go back and forth in chicken plucker, but I don't see a lot of wheel and deals. All right? Higher dancer success. They get into this pattern just like you do. And they're not bored. But after a while, after they've gone through about the first set of sequences, they know that the same thing is going to come, and they are more successful as they dance. All right, advantages for the caller. Memorize only a string of 5 calls. And you can call a routine of 15 movements. That's pretty good economy. You can watch the entire dance floor. How many of us stand up there and watch this row of squares right across the front and never really get a good chance to be able to truly take a look at what's happening with the whole floor? You know where they're going to end up if you use modules, and so you can watch and monitor the entire floor, see what's happening, see where the problems are. You don't have to worry about key squares. You don't have to sit there and scratch your head and try and figure out what happened to your key square when you come back to it. Okay. Most zeros that you'll find written down, including everything that's in my little blue book, will be from 0 lines or 0 boxes. You'll sometimes find stuff from what he calls a corner line. But most everything is published you'll find from 0 lines and 0 boxes. This is all you really need to have. From there, you essentially move through 3 formations all the time. You're going to see a standard square, static square formation. You're going to see facing lines of 4, or going to see an 8 chain through. You'll see other and move through other formations, but as you do your square dancing, you constantly move through these 3 points. And mostly, you're going to be moving through facing lines of 4 and 0 boxes. They just occur over and over again. So you use this to your advantage. A 0 is a 0 is a 0. You can start from any formation that the module passes through. And this gives you another extremely valuable tool in terms of using your memory. Let's take this one, which we all knew and all of us overuse. Swing through, centers run, Ferris wheel, centers pass through. Okay, in the process of doing this, we are really going through a circle of several different formations. We're going to swing through, if you start right at the top, centers run, moves through this formation, Ferris wheel, and centers pass through. You can start that at any one point. If you are here in this type of a fissure, you just centers run, Ferris wheel, centers pass through, and swing through, and you're right back to here. And so now, not only do you have 1 module, you actually have 4. Okay? And so once again, you're stretching what you can do with your material. Okay? We're in an 8 chain through, we're in an ocean wave, we're in 2 face lines, and we're in a double pass through formation. Okay. Here are your modules. It's just like kind of pulling things around the chain. To be really successful for the next thing, you need to have some modules in your bag that are what's called no gender identification. And if you think about the one we just went through, if you swing through centers run, Ferris wheel, centers pass through, you can do it in any combination of genders. If you're going to nest zeros, you must have a common point where the two zeros touch in formations. All right? The secondary zero in this example, and I limit this example, must be a no gender identification zero module. So, let's make this the primary zero. The pass through, the wheel and deal, the double pass through, the centers in, and the cast off 3/4. The secondary one is going to be our old faithful we all know. All right? This is going to be the touch point. Because both of them go through a double pass-through formation. We okay so far? All right? We're going to embed our secondary zero right here. Because that double pass-through formation always occurs after the wheel and deal in the primary. Here we go. Okay? The second time through, we're going to end up with this kind of a formation. Fisser, I should say. See it? Okay. What's happened on your Ferris wheel? Instead of the old common Ferris wheel, we now have a different arrangement. You've spiced it up with basically very little additional memory work.
Cal, may I impose on you, what he's talking about by arrangement is that it's not a normal boy-girl arrangement now. It's boy, boy, girl, girl. I don't know if everybody saw that or not. Pardon me for interrupting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, circles are girls and the squares are boys. Yeah. Third time through. Okay? Fractional and nested zeros. Come on. This is just one example. Another real quick example that you can jot down off the end of a two-phase line. Tag the line, left, Ferris wheel, go in the opposite direction, uphill, I think some people call it. Centers pass through, swing through. Now, if you take these things and you put them on the floor and you combine these two and use them within, you would find the dancers are going around in almost a cloverleaf style of action. And as soon as you call the other one, they start going around the cloverleaf the other way. And to me, this is the essence of what people come to square dancing to do, is not necessarily solve puzzles. They're there to dance with all the people in the square with them. Okay? It's going to require some homework and some study. And I highly advocate that you get hold of something in the way of some square dance checkers, take the teacups, do something, and play with this sort of stuff. Because in doing so, you'll see that it's worth the effort. Because you're going to learn things about choreography that you won't learn any other single way. Because you're going to sit there and say, well, fine. Now, as you do this, we haven't been able to show hand flow. And so you've got to also key into the fact that as you start putting these cups and moving them around, it's a good flow for the men, it's a good flow for the ladies. You know, oftentimes we kill the ladies in our choreography because it works great for the guys, it sucks for the girls. Okay? People to thank. Bill Peters, an old caller who's now sitting out in Maui, and probably Lloyd Littman ahead of him, came up with this idea of modular calling. Bill probably did the most to be put down the rules and to the notation system that we presently use. He also has several books that are good. He's got one called Magic Modules and Modules Galore. They both go into the theories of this a lot more and present you with lots and lots of modules. I can highly recommend it. I want to thank Tim Crawford for letting me use this, because otherwise than that, frankly, I wouldn't have been organized enough to carry you through this. Any questions at this point? All right. Thank you.
Give Cal a nice hand. Before I turn this over to Tony, I want him to do something that he does at our school. And if you do come to at least our school, you're going to see modules till you're blue in the face, because we categorically believe in them. But Cal made a comment. He said, when I'm dancing, I don't see wheel and deal from lines much anymore. Why? It's a very good comment, and Cal, I think I have an answer for you. Part of that is because almost all of our resolutions are from boxes, the resolution to an Alaman left. And as such, we have gotten so into this sight calling resolution thing, everything we resolve with comes from a box, which is exactly why I went through this little exercise I did, that I intentionally created some line get-outs just from the standpoint that I felt is something that I should add to my choreography. And I think that's probably the reason, Cal, that's the way it is. Also, I don't carry lots of notes, but I do carry notes, and they don't take me from the start of a setup, a static square, all the way to a resolution. But they are things to remind me during the evening of things I haven't done that I want to do. I have my get-outs written down, and I only use get-outs from boxes, 0 boxes. The corner line is what I call a corner line, and from lines of 4. Those are the get-outs that I have. And I always remember a guy named Burl Maine who told me, if it's good enough to call, it's good enough to write it down, because you will forget it, and that's fact. Now I want to turn this over to Tony, because I want you to show you the demonstration he uses with modules. The other thing I want to remind you of, if you go to a state festival, if you go to a national convention, and you see Tony and me call, I will guarantee you we are not sight calling. We are calling modules, because you don't want to make a mistake like I did on the floor here earlier.
Oh, yeah, another nice hand for Cal. Good presentation. The visuals are such a good help. The modular system, the best way to call, I don't want you guys to think that nobody up here sight calls, because yes, we sight call. I think a good caller uses all of the methods. You'll use some sight, you'll use some memory, you'll use some modules, you use a combination of all of them. That makes a good all-around caller. If you rely on only one method, you're going to get in trouble. To me, sight callers are the most boring callers in the world, because we tend, as sight callers, to get into ruts. Modules are what kind of spice up your thing. Your get-outs, if you've got a really neat get-out, that spices up the whole tip. And that's like the ice cream on the cake. One of the things that we didn't discuss, and I'd like to show you a bit, one of the real misunderstood module, or zeros, is called a technical zero. Can I get a square up a second? Can we get, and this will only take maybe 5-6 minutes. And I want to apply technical zeros in with the chicken plucker, and kind of show you what we can do. One of my goals as a caller, to keep interesting, to keep my floor interested, I try to dance all of the dancers in all 4 quadrants in each sequence. Now that's a goal I have. Every time I call, I try to put all 8 people in all 4 quadrants before I call Alaman left. And that makes me, see, if you're going to get in your car, and we're in Oklahoma City, and you're going to go to Washington, D.C., and you're going to leave today, you wouldn't just go out there in the parking lot, get in your car, crank the car up and say, got to go east. You'd have a road map. You'd have to have some type of direction. You'd have, I need to get on this freeway and go here and turn here and do this. The same thing is true with calling. If you just get up and freewheel sight call without any direction, you're going to eventually get boring. And you're going to start calling swing through, boy, run, Ferris wheel. And the reason that calls like relay the deucey and spin chain and exchange the gears have all become popular now is because that's one of the few zeros that we know. And it's a big call that lets the dancers dance it, and we don't have to do any work. If we do our homework, you'd be amazed at the times that you don't need those big calls to have big choreography. We can still do the same thing. Let me show you something. We're going to sight call for just a second because I want you to look at particular couples. I want you to look at Jerry and his partner because she's striking. She has red hair. And we've already talked about the guy in the black shirt, and he's dancing with the girl in the black hair, and that's all I'm interested in. Even though I may know everybody's name, that's all I'm interested in. Let me have the head step in, face your corner. Now let me show you the different zeros that we have. See where we're at right now? If I do a set of calls that puts them in the exact same spot, that's called a geographic zero. Okay? For instance, right and left through. Veer left, couples circulate, ladies trade, bend the line, star through, pass through, trade by. Now that is a geographic zero. It is also chicken plucking. Because all I did was, the whole concept with chicken plucker is you move two people across and two people back. Sometimes you may want to move one across, later on move somebody else, and then move both of them back over. At that time, I moved two people over without doing the right and left through, pass through, trade by, right and left through, pass through, trade by. That is a geographic zero. Chicken plucker is nothing more than a great big zero. It's a geographic zero. Now, there's another zero called a true zero. Now, true zero says that I have the same people paired up looking at the same people. They're just somewhere else. For instance, 8 chain 4. Now, I still have my primary man paired up, and he's still looking at his corner. Yes? My red-haired lady's looking at the guy in the black, and my older guy here that's dancing with the red-haired girl is looking at also at a red-haired girl. I'm fortunate I have two redheads in the set. Okay, now that is a true zero. The one we don't use a lot, and it is such a powerful tool, it's such a powerful module tool, is called a technical zero. Now notice that I haven't changed, in those two zeros, all I've done is move the location of the people. I haven't changed the pairings. Okay? And here's what happens when we sight call a lot. We tend to keep the same people paired up all the time, and you feel like you're dancing with the same 3 or 4 people all night. And that's what it's good for. So now I'm going to change the people a little bit, and there's a great zero, there's a great technical zero, it's called an invert and rotate, and it's going to do two things. I'm going to unpair somebody, pair somebody else up, and move them to a different spot in the floor. I'm going to fulfill one of my goals as a caller. I'm going to put everybody in a different quadrant now. Watch this. Jerry did this a while ago. Star through, pass through, bend the line, star through. Now, notice that my primary man is still looking at the red-haired girl, his partner. She's looking at the guy in the black. Everything's kosher. I can Alaman left from here. I could also chicken pluck from here. Now, the neat thing is I could also use this great big zero that Cal worked on a while ago. That's the power of this thing. Or I could sight call a little bit right here and do a little isolated sight, bring them right back to where they are now. Swing through, boys trade, boy run. We'll do some wow stuff. I did say trade. There you go. Bend the line, reverse flutter. We'll get cute. Now we're going to get real cute. Everybody do half of a half sachet. You're single file, girls in the lead, double pass through. Girls turn back. All I'm concerned with now is pairing up my primary people. Star through, girls trade, bend the line, right and left through, pass the ocean, recycle, veer left, girls trade, bend our line, pass through, wheel and deal, centers wheel around, right and left through. And what have I done? Haven't done anything? All I did was sight call right back to where I left. Yes? That was just a little bit of sight calling. Now, did I not pair you up? Oh, okay. Ladies chain. What? I thought you were dancing with the girl in the black. Yeah. And you're looking at. Oh, I've got to get you with the red-haired girl. I'm sorry. I'm half a pluck out. Right and left through, There, Jerry, I did the same thing. Pass through and trade by. Okay, now I'm paired up. I got my same guy looking at the red-haired girl. That's what I want. Okay, all right. Now, but all that did was a little sight call. It happens. Now, but here is a neat tool, and that was a great big zero. It was a nothing. It just moved people around. Here is a technical zero that's just so powerful that I just discovered here recently that really, really helps me. Everybody, if I had everybody step to a wave right here, and I did an all 8 circulate, would that be a zero? Would that be any kind of zero? True, geographic, technical? It'd be a fractional zero if I did it twice. But if I just did one, would it be a zero? Of course not. Okay? Here's something I just discovered. This is the neatest thing. If I pair one of the people up, one of the couples up, for instance, swing through. Let me show you something. Swing through, boy, run. Let me do this. Ferris wheel. Let's do that. Let's do that get out thing. Okay. Pass through. So now I know that from right here I can do a swing through, boys run, Ferris wheel, pass through, Alaman left. Yes? Watch this. Swing through. Now do you notice that I have 2 people holding right hands with their partner? Yes? All 8 circulate. Now I'm going to finish the zero I just started. Boys run, Ferris wheel, centers pass through. So there was an all 8 circulate that was a technical zero because I paired up 2 people. And that is such a powerful tool. Okay? It is a wonderful tool. And all I did was move, it's kind of like chicken plucker. I moved 2 people across. But I did it with a technical zero that time. Can you follow that? Everybody see that? You can also do it from here. See, the whole point with chicken plucker is that we want to move the people across and back. Now, it gets boring going this way and this way all day. Just like Cal said, he doesn't get to see wheel and deal. It gets boring. So this is where let's apply all of some of this. Let's put all of this stuff in one sequence, and let me try to fulfill dancing the people in the different quadrant. And I'm going to do a little bit of isolated sight and a whole lot of modules. Okay. Let's everybody start back at home again so we can see where everybody goes, okay? Now, my primary man is right here in the number 2 spot, okay? All right, head square through 4. La-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to chicken pluck, but before I chicken pluck, I'm going to do a zero. Touch a quarter. Scoot back. Boy run around the girl. Right and the left through. Slide through. There is a geographic zero, yes. Pass through and trade by. Now, I have done part of a chicken plucker. I left out a right and a left through. That doesn't concern me. Because the neat thing about chicken plucker is that part of the chicken plucker is a half zero. The pass through trade by is a half zero. So I know that I'm a half zero out. I'm a pass through trade by away. Doesn't concern me. I'm going to invert and rotate. Star through, pass through, bend the line, star through. Somebody tell me right now without thinking, where am I at from corner right now? Where am I at? I'm a pass-through trade by out. I just got to finish my chicken plucker. I'll do a little sight calling right here. Touch a quarter. Now we can get a little cute. Scoot back, if I can remember partners. Cast off 3 quarters. Boys connect. Boys trade. Boys run. Bend the line. Reverse flutter. Just a little hashing around. I'm going to put them in some other quadrants now, and I'm going to use a zero here. Pass through, wheel and deal. Here we go. I got them moved around. Double pass through. First couple left, next couple right. I've moved them from the sides to the heads, back to the heads again. Yes? Past the ocean. Just so I don't forget now. I'm going to try to do this one. I'm going to try to do this one right, okay? Recycle. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I've got to get my older guy here dancing with this girl here. So I've got to get my primary couple back into the center so that I can do the pass through trade by again. Yes? All right. So let's do that with a reverse flutter since I did a recycle. And a square through 3. And trade by. And what have I done? Now, the only time in that whole sequence, that whole big sequence, that I wasn't exactly sure of where I was when I did that little teeny little bit of sight calling right there where I did the thing. Just that little bit. And if my square would have broken down, since I'm isolating sight, all I have to do is worry about getting the other half of the set back because square dancing symmetrical. If one half does something, the other half does the other thing. And that whole sequence, I put people in head quadrant, side quadrant. I employed some things. Now, neat thing. Let's go ahead and finish this thing out. Let me show you this. Swing through. Boy trade. Boy run. Bend the line. Pass the ocean. Girls trade. Recycle. What did I do? Perfect. Step to a wave. Girls trade. I have two people paired off. I'm going to use this technical zero I just learned. All eight circulate. Girls trade. Everybody hinge. Girl do a U-turn back. Right and the left through. Slide through. At no point did I sight call, and at no point did I not know where I was. But now, I can guarantee you that these guys didn't know that. And they're callers. And you can bet that dancers aren't going to know that. The whole game of calling, guys, is we play fool the dancers. We want the dancers to think they've really done a lot of really neat things without us losing control. We have to be in control all the time. Modular calling is a great method. You guys can sit down. Thank you very much. Modular calling is such a great method of maintaining control. With that, we'll entertain questions for the next 10 minutes. Please use the microphone.
Introduce yourself and who you are.
And where you're from. You'll be famous at the tape.
I'm Lottie Ainsworth from Eris, Louisiana. Whenever you're changing up your singing call figures, how do you work on the timing of it to make it zero out with the timing of that you need for your figures?
Well, that does take some experimentation, but as you develop your modules, and I would do that at home if I'm going to play with changing a singing call figure. And for instance, I for the setup to take them across the street, I used heads pass through, partner trade, reverse flutter, sweep a quarter, pass through. I would try that on my singing call at home. You got to want to.
You're not going to change it the first time with dancers. You're going to work it out at home first.
I'm going to work it out at home. That's why I say, because you know with confidence not only that it works, but that it flows. And if you've practiced your singing call with that in there, you have a feel for how that's going to be.
If you're going to be a good caller, guys, you've got to be able to move checkers.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the way you determine if this thing is going to time out, if it's going to work. You have got to be able to move checkers.
CALLERLAB also has timing recommendations. Follow them.
We have a sheet there. You can get it off.
When I construct a singing call figure, I sit down and I go through. I don't know the timing recommendations by heart, but I still keep the little chart. And if there's any question, I go back and add it up. And I'll be honest with you, with the 64 beat tune, correct? Stay within 62 to 66. You're going to find your dancer's going to be a lot happier.
Hi, my name's Bobby. I'm from Texas. I'd like to address a question to Jerry. What do you do when you're calling and you blow the module? For us newer callers, we may not know how to sight resolve. What do you do?
Well, that's going to happen to you, just what I did. I had to have them go home. And is it embarrassing? Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, next time you call that module, you did it right, just like I did. You're going to have some of that. As a sight caller, that's one of the beauties of being able to do it all. Have some memory, have some modules. Being able to sight resolve will save you in that case later on as you expand your calling abilities. The sight resolution can sometimes save you from that embarrassment.
Today's style of choreography is not going to allow a complete modular caller to really be awesome. You're going to need the other tools. You're going to need some sight. You're going to need some written material. You may need to use some mental image. You'll need a combination of all of them if you want to be a really, really effective caller.
Yep.
Just to expand on that, modular calling works really well symmetrically. But if you're going to change arrangements, put boys together, girls together, then you're going to have some ability to move dancers by sight.
Yes, sir.
Paul Moore from Southern California, Running Springs, town even smaller than what Cal comes from.
What?
My town is even smaller than yours. We blink and you miss town. But on the changing singing call figures, of course, it used to be easier to use singing calls because there were more variety that came out on the flip side. Now you do hear that standard 1/2 promenade, square through 4. And you do need to be able to change it with the modules, just as Jerry did. Cal brought up the point, you need the timing chart. And unfortunately there are, unless you have some of those tried and true, square through, do, side, do, swing through, spin the top things, many singing call figures that people are using don't time out. Walt Cole did a study several years back, and he found out only about 30% of the singing call figures that came out actually timed out. They ranged from 48 to 84 beats of dance for 64 beats of music. And so use the timing charts, look at flow. I cheat. I bought the computer program Caller's Angels, and it tells me how many beats I've used up. And it helps immensely. And I can see the body flow, hand availability, and so forth. And it's really helped my being able to change singing call figures.
On that same thing, he's absolutely right, because nowadays anybody with a couple of $100 can record a record. So there's no guarantee that the voice you hear on the flip side of the record, that A, the figure is going to work, and B, that it's going to time out right. If you have $300 or $400, you can have your own company. On the tape this month, on Hanhurst tape this month, there's a 64 beat figure and 48 beats there's 64 beats of music and a 48 beat figure. So my recommendation to you guys is be sure that you work the figure on a singing call before you just call it cold turkey, because there are more times than should be that they just absolutely don't work, because there's no criteria now. There used to be honor in recording music and being a recording artist. There is no honor anymore, because hell, half the guys here record records. I don't know who we're going to sell to anymore, because there's so many labels now and so many guys that are, since music's so much cheaper to do now. So don't believe that the guy or girl on the flip side of a record necessarily knows what he or she is doing. To be safe, you're not on the microphone. To be safe, yes, you could just buy roll records and you'd be fine. Any other questions? I'm sorry, you can say something?
No, any more? Anybody else? Oh, just a second.
Gary Potras from Moscow, Idaho. I tried to dance here just recently, other than some favorite records, I tried to vary every single figure differently throughout the evening. And it's quite a challenge, because it takes a practice to do that. But that's kind of a thing to challenge yourself, is to be able to go through and take a record, all the records you have, and call a different figure every single time.
I couldn't do that.
Do what?
I couldn't call a different figure every song.
Yeah. What I do on every singing call I pick up, I have a little notation system, and I go through and add up the steps. If it is over 64 or under 62, I change it. I mean, that's basically it. And the thing it really bothers me is in most routines that I see that I like the flow, it's an easy change. It's a matter of simply adding something or subtracting something that the caller didn't think about doing. I mean, you can find some real cute stuff, and to fix it is easy.
Okay, I was going to say something regarding that, and I forgot what it was. Must not have been very important. Once again, nice hand for Cal and Jerry. And we thank you for your rapt attention, and we'll see you guys at lunch. I am going to make past Campbell dinner. Hey, is that today? Is that today? Is that today or tomorrow? Enjoy it today. Okay, I guess I'll make it now. Enjoy it? Thank you, sir. Very good. Good job.
No, we can't do that.